to the Heroes of Cosplay panel. I'm going to try and be professional. It's very difficult for me. I've never moderated a panel before, so Chris is going to be helping me through the process. If you guys want to go down the line, we can start by introducing themselves to you guys and maybe give a little background, short background, cosplay experience, etc. Alright, let's start with Ricky.
Hi, my name is Ricky. I go by Riddle Online. I've been cosplaying for over 10 years. I run a charity group called Cosplay for a Cause, and I rescue rehabilitate baby squirrels and
crazy squirrel lady.
And that's it.
Hi, I'm Monica Lee. I cosplay. I'm sorry. I've been cosplaying since 2006. I like food. I play games, and I kind of have to pee right now. Don't drink that.
Hi everyone, I'm Holly. Nice to meet you.
Hi,
I am a special effects artist and a monster maker. This is Koshek. He's my cat. He floats in the men's restroom. And yeah, Jessica couldn't make it here, but she sends her warm regards. And I'm the other half.
Chloe.
Yeah, same for Chloe. And I'm the other half of Crab Pen Industries, and we make sparkles and rainbows and all that.
Are you the crab or the cat?
I don't know, obviously the cat, because I've got, well, I mean, a cat, Jessica, she'll be the crab because she's not here.
Don't tell her she's the crab.
My name is Victoria Schmidt. I also go by Scruffy Rebel. This is my fiance, Daniel. We both separately together, been costuming since '99. Yeah, so, and we do a lot of costumes together. He obviously does a lot with me on mine, although this one I did. But right now we're focusing on his clothing line, which is pretty spandex with geekdom flair. And when I'm not costuming, I am doing a lot of geek fashion stuff actually.
I'm Jinyo. You know who I am.
And I am Chris, the other half of Riddle and the...
He's the messy part.
I'm the oldest one on the panel.
We call him Cosplay Dad because
he's Cos Dad
because he helps us with everything. He's an exceptionally talented human being, and he doesn't give himself enough credit. He's incredibly talented. I need to clap for you, Chris.
You're very nice.
Alright, so I'm just going to ask, who here has seen Heroes of Cosplay? Yes? Awesome. You guys enjoy the show? Yeah. Very great. It is a very good show. We're just going to ask if you guys have any questions for any of the people up here on the panel, and they will kind of just lead it and go. Does anyone have any questions?
Well,
yes.
also, I'm going to chime in real quick. Some of the stuff we can answer, some of the stuff we can't, because we do have a non-disclosure going into like the next season and stuff like that. So there may be some points where we'll be like, hey, you're just going to have to tune in and watch. So,
I don't, like, Chris, would it be okay if, like, if I know something that I can say? Like, because since I'm not under disclosure? That's true. I'm not under contract, so if I can answer, I will try to answer for you guys. Okay, yes, question, yes, red shirt there.
When the previous season came out, did you guys feel you were depicted correctly or skewed one way or another?
Who wants to start?
I thought I was fat.
I had issues with editing for the Tron dress, but otherwise, I actually don't have a problem with how they portrayed me. And I know for some people that might maybe seem weird because I was whiny and I don't know, just kids with bitchy and stuff like that, but like, I will own that that is who I am, personality-wise, under stress, and he knows that. So I thought that was fairly accurate.
She also doesn't really know how they portrayed her because she didn't watch the show.
I just talked and they filmed me. So, however that happened, I mean, let me be honest about like Jessica and I bickering. Like we have had way worse fights than those on like that were not on camera. That like back in the day. So when you're best friends with someone and you bicker, it happens. But that's it. I mean, it was us. That was us. I mean, a lot of times I was super cranky because I was being filmed and I was really tired. And I'm sure that goes for everyone here, that when you're being filmed and you're like, no, this is not gonna kick right now. It's not gonna work. And then you're just like, oh no, and then it's not gonna work and it's gonna get on camera and I'm gonna go, which is like the worst thing in the world.
It was definitely one of those weird things where you're in a situation where you have to be at the con right away because the show's filming there, and you have short like time restraints, but you can't can't talk and be like, oh, we're here, we have to make a costume in 2 days because of the show, because it's breaking the fourth wall. So we're like, we're tired because we're tired. And like it looked like we were all really bad at planning costumes last minute, but it was like, no, we had to film for the con, so.
Yeah, and it doesn't cover a lot of it, but like for instance, like they've heard all the spiel, but at the time I was filming, I was working 2 jobs, raising squirrels. Yeah, I was working 2.5. Raising, I think I had 3. And so, like for instance, at the MegaCon episode, when Chris bangs bangs a big thing into the door, we had smuggled a cage of baby squirrels into the hotel room. We were like kind of trying to keep it on the low down. So I'm like, "What you, Chris?" I sound so whiny.
It didn't sound like it was costumes, but
yeah,
they were animals.
It was sleeping baby squirrels.
Oh no.
And but yeah, a lot of us. She has school, she has work, they have work, and they unfortunately didn't portray that side of us actually like our real lives. Working on stuff. They make it seem like this is all we do.
Yeah, which is not the truth.
Yeah.
That was probably my, hello Mike.
Whoa.
That was probably my beef with the show, was that I'm a full-time student and I very rarely have time to make my costumes, and besides mentioning that maybe once, they completely left it out. And so it just made me seem like a whiny cosplay bitch. Oh god, costume, sorry. Poop face.
But there's also the logistics of the show. I mean, they have to bounce between 2 coastlines. They also have to coordinate with conventions that will say, yeah, come, and then all of a sudden are like, no. So they may be gearing up to basically make a comic book costume, and then the convention's like, no, we're not going to shoot at that convention. And then all of a sudden they have to shift gears into doing an anime costume. So a lot of that stuff is like the logistics that they have to face. No, they can't get permission to shoot at Georgia Tech to show that Monica is a student, or that, you know, Junyo works, or does Vulcan hand signs all day. So you know, they're at the mercy of a lot of different you know, circumstances. Yeah. So that's why sometimes, you know, when you're watching the show, you're like, wait, why aren't they covering this? Why aren't they covering that? And it's like, well, there's all these other factors that go into actually just making a TV show.
Yeah, it is a reality TV show, so they do want to basically film an entire day and then just take the really intense parts, good or bad. So whatever is depicted is taken. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Does everyone answer?
And also try explaining to people who have never seen cosplay or anything, like how to make like a mold. Like just trying to explain making a mold to anyone in general.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were times when I was filming and I was like, they're like, don't use the word cure. And I'm like, cure is when the material sets up. And I was like, well, why? Because people aren't going to understand what cure means. I'm like, but that's kind of the only word we can use. So, yeah, and like she said, when you're working with like prop stuff, you kind of only get one shot and then it sets up. And they want to you know, they're like, can we film that again from a different angle? We're like, no, we're done for like 12 hours. You know, like, just walk away from it.
Believe it or not, I would set up some of the stuff like cooking show style because I have to. Yeah, I have to, because if I'm making a mold, molds take me hours, and they don't want to, literally, they don't want to watch me like sit there and watch glue dry. So I would just be like, all right, guys, this is what we're doing. I'm gonna remake this whole thing on camera, and then at night when you leave, I'm gonna make everything else.
Well, that's what they do on Face Off.
Yeah,
on Face Off, they
sorry, we're breaking the illusion.
Yeah,
the illusion is broken, but that is the truth.
Yeah, they come in at night.
Yeah,
and
I didn't know that
make
until
it.
like this season.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay, go
thank
for
you
it.
for your question. Do you have anyone else any other questions? Yes, sir.
Oh, this guy.
Oh, whoops. Sorry, did I? You, okay, you, sorry.
Just this guy.
Premature. You. Fine, shut up now.
Jesse for season 2? Yes.
Yeah, they showed it in the trailer.
Yeah, actually, if you go to the SyFy website, it lists all the new cast members and the members who are on these current season.
Oh, do they really? I haven't checked.
No, the best is
Katie's
our
picture.
our friend Katie. They took just screenshots from thing, and it's Katie going like this, but it cuts her off her hair. It's literally, yeah. I made a joke to Katie. I'm like, best in show goes to Katie's armpits, because that's all the picture is.
I'm sorry.
All right, thank you. Sorry. Yes, now you. Who taught you all how to make your own cosplays?
I taught me.
The end. Yeah, the internet. When I first started, I would just Google how to make stuff, and I would figure it out, and then I would go to my garage and make it. I also had no parental supervision, so that helped a lot. So when there were things in the oven that didn't fit in the oven, and they were just in there, no one cared. So there you go.
It was Chris and my friend Sean Patton, S&P Designs, taught me a lot about like patterning, and then looking at old clothes, like looking at my own clothing. Yeah, how it was made. That's how I learned a lot of the sewing stuff.
When I started, I did work in special effects shops. I worked in I worked for Robot Chicken for a while, for about a year. I worked at an animatronics factory where I learned a ton of stuff. I worked for a haunted house where I learned a lot and I met a lot of awesome friends. Haunted houses are great if you ever want to learn special effects. They'll teach you for free. They're awesome and creepy, and I love it. But yeah, all kinds of stuff. That's it. Smart.
My mom and grandma helped me with my first 2 costumes, and then when I got to college, I took a sewing course, and then from there, like, did my own. But then when I met him and he was better, I basically made him help me. What would take me like an entire week to do, like he could do in a day, because he comes from like a graphic art background, and just the way he visualizes things. Like if I make something on my own, I have to go to Joann's and find like a similar pattern that already exists, and then make that and then modify it. But he'll just like draft something out of his butt, and it's like, why bother?
I pull everything out of my butt.
Can I borrow your budget?
And following that, I started making costumes in 1992, and then I started.
That's when I was born.
No.
Don't date him.
And then I basically worked at a foundry, learning how to cast bronze and iron, and then got an apprenticeship at a sculpture studio in Atlanta. But the entire time, you know, I'm a geek at heart, so I was just always making stuff. So it's amazing to watch the evolution of cosplay from when I first saw it, and all you saw were basically like red shirts from Star Trek, stormtroopers, and then all of a sudden, you know, the influx from Japan and anime, and seeing girls starting to pop up at cons in costume. So yeah, I mean, hats off to the ladies for showing up. So that's, and then a friend of mine was basically like, hey, can you help me with costumes? And I was just like, sure, I'd much rather, you know, suit a girl up in a costume than, you know, work with a guy.
We love your honesty, Grace. Does anyone else have any other questions? Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Anyway, yes.
So, just quick. In season 1, there was a discussion saying that someone that was overweight should not have played Superman.
Yes. I will cover that.
I want to just get your guys' feedback if you think that people should and shouldn't go after certain cosplay characters based on the way they look or anything.
Do you want to? Oh yeah, everyone's like, okay, I am the one that got tagged for saying that comment. And the way the conversation went down, because it was editing, was I basically my statement was, if you're black, no matter what you are, muscular, go be whatever you want to be. And the question was, what are your pet peeves? And I said, I'm really disappointed with how cruel the internet can be to people who don't meet an ideal. Unfortunately, I used the example of an overweight Superman, saying, you know, I was then posed with the question, well, isn't cosplay about feeling good about yourself? And I said, but unfortunately, if someone's like a 300-pound Superman and that gets put on the net and they're not mentally ready to handle how cruel, and the internet is cruel, let's not lie, how cruel the internet can be, and no matter what you are, I mean, if you are in shape and you look amazing, you know, all of us have been called horrible things. I was basically saying, how does that then help you feel good about yourself? Because what that will do is that will discourage you from cosplaying, and that is the last thing I want, is the internet and strangers and bullies behind the screen to discourage someone from cosplaying. So if you are any ethnicity or any size and you're like, you know, like, take it, I can handle anything, I want to be what I want to be, and the comments can affect me, And that's what Monica was saying, you know, like some people, I can't handle a lot of the criticism. I have very thin skin. You know, you'll have 100 like comments and people be super supportive, and you focus in on that one comment, and that one comment will tear you down. And you'll be like, why am I doing this? Like, and then it's not fun, it's not rewarding. You don't want to cosplay anymore. So the whole conversation was actually pet peeves, and the point I was trying to make, unfortunately due to editing, did not come across was, the internet can be a cruel place. You should be aware of it, because I've had people come up to me, and this is what also I was saying, people have come up to me and they said, oh, I thought cosplaying is about being accepted no matter who you are. And I can't lie to people. I can't say, yeah, everyone's going to accept you no matter what, but you should be aware, you know, and just be ready for it.
Well, I mean, the very, oh Jesus, the very,
I told you he can hear you.
oh no. The very foundation of cosplay is that you're dressing up as someone, and people are going to take your picture, and you're going to be out there, so you are placing yourself out there for judgment and criticism, and not everyone's going to say things happy to you. And like Ricky said, you know, everyone can say, oh, you look awesome, you're so great as that character, but that one person, you know, will find that one flaw because they're uncomfortable with themselves, they're jealous that you're putting yourself out there, that you're successful, and they say, well, you know what, I'm going to say this comment because it makes me feel better about myself, and it'll make them feel bad. And people don't understand that we see all those comments. Everything that you guys post, everyone else posts on pages about us, we see them all. So I'm always like,
every single one. Yeah, every single one.
Yeah,
I searched the Tumblr hashtag, guys.
Well, there's also a difference. Like, okay, this show is unique in the fact that, you know, like people will call it the Real Housewives of Comic-Con, or you know, why isn't it like Face Off? And the difference is that they were going to conventions, you know, well before the show, and they're going to conventions now, and they interact with you. The Real Housewives don't interact with their fans. They don't talk to their fans. They don't, you know, they don't give.
The Real Housewives have fans?
they have a good showing. So, you know, they're there. They interact with everybody. They wouldn't be doing this if they didn't want everybody to participate. You know, they want people, you know, everybody up here wants more people to costume. Everybody wants them to have fun, to learn new skill sets, to push themselves. Sorry about that. Oh, that's you.
No, that was you, but I was doing it.
So, you know, like when people come up and say like, oh, the show's destroying the community, you're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on this show that just isn't there, because this show is not gonna stop people from costuming. You know, that's a bizarre statement.
It's like how people are with Star Wars and like Lucas having changed things. Like you didn't go into your childhood and like erase from you the memory of like the originals. Those still exist. Sorry, it's a really big deal for me. But the same thing, like, you know, we all cosplay differently, and some people do like love to enter competitions and various other things, but some people just like to dress up and go to a con, or dress up and go to a children's hospital. But we all do it differently, and just because the show is portraying like one way to do it doesn't negate how anyone else does it.
Well, and like, I mean, when we go to cons and things, I mean, there are little kids that are going to cons now because their parents have watched this show and seen that cosplay exists. And these kids' parents had no idea that cosplay was okay. And they would have thought that their kids were doing something strange. And I've had little girls like watch me, like practically, you know, so like beaming because they're in a costume, they made it themselves, it's their parents are with them, it's their first con, and the only way that they had even been there or even seen it was because of a cable television show. They would not have seen cosplay otherwise, and they would not have known it existed. And so it's like really sad when people in the community are like, well, this is destroying everything and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, that's very also end of the world. I mean, let's be honest. Nothing is getting destroyed. We're all going to be okay. There's no giant glow cloud above us. But seriously, we will persevere. And the thing that we need to do is just be positive. Like, don't be negative. People on TV are real people too. Those housewives, they're real people. They might have made bad life choices, but they're real people. And there's no reason to be mean to them. There's no reason to be mean to people on television just because you think that that's some way to, I don't know, I guess redeem it, but It's like, I'm just so tired of people being mean. Mean people suck. And let's just all be positive and be like supportive of those little kids that are out there in costume for the first time. And don't let them go on 4chan and see a bunch of people yelling at each other saying, I've seen on there, this person's costume is bad. I hate that. How can you say that to someone? This person's costume is bad. That's wrong. Everyone is here to be a community and have fun and be in costume and feel good about themselves and have self-esteem. And that's why we're here. And if you're behind people's back saying, well, this is bad, that's not what this is about. And you should go home and think about your choices.
She brings up a good point that like everyone, mic drop, kitty drop. Everyone, you know, the people who do come at the show and are really disappointed by it and are like, oh, that's really, you know, that's not the way I want to portray cosplay. It's like or don't like us for maybe an edit. We didn't choose those edits, but those people are choosing to be negative. So they're basically, the stuff that they're blaming us for, like we wouldn't go on the show, sorry.
Did you use your train of thought?
I did. No, well, I mean, I talk about this.
So when they say Ricky's an airhead.
Well, what I'm saying,
Accurate.
it's just.
Well, obviously we wouldn't go on it if we thought it was going to turn out like certain ways. Like we're not idiots. Come on, people. I mean, if you're thinking like, oh, why would they do that?
But
It's
just
because
like
we
she
saw
said,
benefit
like,
of the doubt that things were going to be like
Be
different.
positive about it, you know, take what you can. I always use the analogy like, okay, when superhero movies first started coming out, they were kind of bad,
What are
right?
you talking about? Batman and Robin are amazing.
But you know,
I like the nipples on
people
the
kind of went and still supported it and found nipples attractive on bat suits. And the thing is now we have like Winter Soldier and Iron Man, and you know, maybe Batman and Robin wasn't the comic book movie you wanted, but you still supported it in a positive way, which allowed other movies to be made that are maybe more what you want. So, like, yeah.
Are we the bat suit nipples? Is that what this analogy is coming from?
It's about competition, and then that might not be what you're into about cosplay. But you know, you don't have to support it. You can, of course, not watch it if you want to, but let it move forward and develop, and maybe some other discovery will make a show that's about another aspect of cosplay you like. Like, just, it's the first time.
Or watch the Great British Spelling Bee, because it's adorable and it's about people like sewing bees.
What's this,
Because it's just,
Spelling Bee?
yeah, sorry, Great British Sewing Bee. Because if you want to just see adorable people sewing for the joy of sewing, that's the show to watch. It's amazing.
And I'll also jump in here and say you have 9 cast members. The show is 42 minutes long, and on top of that, so if you break that down, you're getting about 18 minutes per person. So that's not really a lot of time to show, and that's across the entire 6 episodes. That's not really a lot of time to show someone making 3 or 4 full costumes. You're only getting tidbits of what is actually being produced. And when they talk about the fact that, like, why is everybody who's in the hotel room working? Okay, I don't know a cosplayer alive that has not done something in the hotel room. So they are showing a believable aspect. Yes, they could choose to focus a little bit more on some other stuff, but you know, that's a very honest aspect. Things not working, things not going right, that happens all the time. There's no blueprint on how to make a Tron dress, how to make a dragon boat, or any of that other stuff. It's just, we're pulling it out of our ass all the time.
What was that noise, Monica? Come on.
So you're getting a very finite view of what we're actually trying to do.
That was excellent.
See these guys? They don't need a moderator. Yes, Amy, sure.
I was just gonna say this, like, especially my generation, we're fairly familiar with reality TV shows and how they operate. Do you feel like people take that into consideration? Because we know there has to be ratings, and so things are made a certain way, so it's never like completely accurate.
I think you're really smart, because no, I'm sorry. 90%.
I mean,
population
of people
don't. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, doing the show actually kind of ruined reality TV for me
Yeah.
because, like, I'm not, you know, I'm not an idiot, but like, you just take for granted what you're seeing, and so like, I enjoy all sorts of different reality shows, and then suddenly now afterwards, like when I'm watching just any type of show, it could be Face Off, Pawn Stars, whatever, but I'll be like, oh man, I know that like a second before they started filming, there was a story producer behind them telling them, okay, now say this to that person, or be angry for this reason. I'm like, damn it, man, all reality shows really want me. They're like,
the situation,
the veil has been pulled, but like, no, like I totally believe that majority of people who watch it, like, absolutely believe that like these things as they were put together happened in that way, and that these people as they're portrayed are really that way,
Well,
which
it's
is
the
why they
producer's
get
job,
awful
that's what
Twitter
they're
and
doing.
Facebook comments because they think it's a character. Like, I actually saw, what I found fascinating is that I found more children understood the concept of a character way more than adults, because I had a lot of kids come up and be like, oh my god, like I loved your character on the show, and I was like, that's such a weird way for someone to approach it, but I understood that is correct, because we are not, those are not like who we 100% really are. It is a more characterized version of us, but the kids got it. You know, you got a 10-year-old who understood that was a character, but like your 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old like thought that's really how we were.
It's like film yourself through a whole day. Like imagine what you do. I'm just, this is a tangent, but it's gonna be good. So imagine you're filming yourself for a whole day, and like you've got a camera on you for a whole day. Are you gonna show the parts where you're just like refreshing your Tumblr feed? Like, I mean, or like just like talking to like, oh, I think I'll go outside and take my cat outside. Like, I mean, that's great, and that's all stuff that would make us more real on television, but they're not going to show that because they want it to be exciting for people. It's like in Face Off, everything they say is like, I'm nervous. Like, I don't even know how many times I've said I'm nervous, but that's all they want to hear, I'm nervous. Because that makes it exciting. I mean, if you're watching like Godzilla and people aren't nervous, you're going to be like, aren't they scared of Godzilla?
Godzilla is the savior of the world.
Yeah, they're like, no, it's not a big deal. And everyone's just like, all right, and we all go home.
Did you guys like Godzilla?
No, don't be careful.
The people acting was bad, but the monster acting was good.
Yeah, monster acting. That's all I care about. Go monster.
Mucho. Okay. Thank you for your question. Yes, back there.
It totally varies between each costume. I did keep tally on the Alice dress.
You could say the meat dress.
The meat dress. My whole theory, I got it a little bit. People are like, it's flesh made and she should know. And I'm like, when you've been working on something for over 80 hours, you can call it whatever you want. So I did the backdrops for our set. I also did sewed the blue dress and then sculpted, mold, and cast the meat dress. It was about 120 hours. And too many hours. And also I was trying to describe it to my parents, and they're like, what are you working on? I'm like, it's a dress. Like, it looks like it's made out of meat. And they're like, so it's like a meat dress.
Yeah, but you can, like, the price range.
Oh, I mean, I think it was like 800, 700. Because you got to take into account the clay, which isn't too expensive, then we use, you know, cheap. We tried to like do it on a budget because they don't. You get paid to be on the show. You don't get paid for the costumes. Like if she makes a $60 costume and I make a $1,000 costume.
Same thing happened.
Same
to us,
thing.
Yeah. I mean,
So
there were episodes where I did not get paid. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put it that way.
After like the Alice episode, I think we figured it out. We got like $1.30 an hour.
Yeah.
But that
And then
also
we were like
goes
16
into.
hours filming a day.
But that also goes into the fact that, like, you know, they want to show the whole range of how you develop something. So they're like, so accidents do happen, but they might not actually be there when that accident does occur. So they're like, well, hey, can we recreate that? And you're like, hey, I'm not spending the money to waste material again. You know, so it's like, you know, these things do happen, but sometimes they can't be shown, and sometimes if they're there and they're lucky and they film something, they can. But that also goes back into the logistics of you have one crew that one day will be with Holly, then they'll fly across country, then they'll be with Yaya, and then they'll fly back across country and be with Chloe. So, you know, they're all over the place, and they're trying to keep track of which costumes are going to which conventions, you know, is, you know, at what point is Jesse jumping into the ocean? At what point is, you know,
Holly crying in the corner.
yeah, and, you know, so it's
And they'll switch things around, like you know, they'll film a scene and they'll be like, oh, this takes place after this, and then you're watching, because we don't see the show before you guys see it. We see it when you see it. And all of a sudden that episode, that moment is like at the beginning of the series, you're like, what? Like,
When did that happen?
Yeah, when did that happen?
Yeah, and I
You can
like,
watch it by hair length and how our hair grows along
yeah,
the show.
yeah,
That's
look at
color.
color. Yeah, I mean, when we were working all these long hours, the producers were working that and like doubles. So like the crew was working really hard, and they're wonderful people, and they work super hard, and they're trying to put on a good show, and that's
They're good at their jobs.
Oh,
those are their jobs, yeah.
My favorite was when the sound guys have to figure out where to put the mic packs.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't see the costumes like at first, and you'd show up,
And they would just their face would.
yeah, they'd be
they're pretty
like,
good.
I don't know where can I even put this? At one point, I wear a costume in the next season. They threw it down my pant leg, and it was just like floating around in my pant leg. But then they have to, you know, because they have to hide the wire. Like it's just bizarre, like Chupacabra in the first season. We had a nickname
Our
for.
favorite sound guy, and we called him Chupacabra.
I don't know why.
And I don't even know. And whenever we went to go pee, we'd be like, Chupacabra, we're taking a landing. So we could, you know, close the sound.
Yeah, because you go to the bathroom and then one time my sound pack fell into the toilet.
Oh no! I always worried about that. I had a fear of it. I'd always like hold it up here, like, oh no.
Don't worry, it was pre everything.
Sure.
I caught
Sure.
Yeah.
I always unplugged my mic before I went to the bathroom just to be sure.
Oh no,
That was
I was like,
We were listening this whole
if
time.
you're seeing,
I have a question for you guys. What's like the most memorable, like fun moment that you were just like, holy crap, that was awesome. Thank
I
you.
got that.
Here's a cosplay.
Jose. I don't really geek out that much anymore, but when we went to Jose's
Ironhead Studio.
Ironhead Studios, this is the guy who did the portfolio review on Ricky, and I walked into his studio, I looked, and then I just walked out because I knew I could not keep my shit together, because this is the guy who's basically made Loki's helmet, made Thor's helmet, made Wolverine's costume. He was working on Spider-Man's new costumes with it. He was working on the X-Men Days of Future Past costumes.
Definitely.
He had created Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman cowl. He had created most of the Batsuits.
He actually just made the newest Batsuit too.
Yeah.
Ironhead Studio.
Does that have nipples?
No nipples.
No. So this guy is just like, to me, like living the dream, and I was like, I'm just gonna be a moron, so I'm gonna leave, and then Ricky sort of
They
took
call it,
over.
there's a term, because I've been on set a few times, and I've been in effects houses, and they call it squidding out. Because your tentacles are, I gotta touch everything. So they call people who are like fans of stuff squids. So Chris was about to blow his ink load all over.
I have no shame. That's why I was like, I gotta leave. I'm gonna be an idiot in front of this guy. So Ricky gets done with her portfolio review, and you know that was an idea we had because in the comic book world, aspiring comic book artists go to fellow or well-known comic book artists and they ask for a portfolio review. So we were like, well, this could be an interesting thing for us to take the costumes that we've worked on and show it to him. But it's also like a huge, it could blow up in your face. He could basically be like, this is a pile of crap. Like, you know, what are you thinking? This is, but he was great, and he gave really like insightful critique on what the costumes had, you know, Ricky had shown him. At the end of it, he shows us around the shop. That's when we got to see all the stuff they were working on. I mean, he had the Tron helmets there, and they looked like they had been produced by Porsche. They were so beautifully machined and put together. And then we're getting ready to leave, and as we leave, he comes running out, and he puts in Ricky's hand something, and I see Ricky's face light up, and I walk over, and it was Captain America's star from the Avengers costume.
Oh, wow.
And he had several in a display case, and he pulled one out of the display case and handed it to Ricky, and he's like, you know, keep working, you know, keep doing what you're doing. And And he's also like, don't mold this because I'm gonna So in our little like, you know, curio shelf, we have Cap Star from one of his Avengers costumes. So that was, you know, and I walked up to the producers and I was like, dude, thank you. You know, you can make me look like a wife beater for all I care. And he said, without blinking, he said, Chris, you would be the easiest one to do that.
It was to be hard.
That was,
Well, and I mean, the other thing they did show, and I was a little bummed out, was he actually did offer us a job. And they didn't show that. So, you know, you get kind of like disappointed because it was like definitely a highlight. Yes, he's like, you know, you're missing that 10-15%, but he's like, I would hire you guys. And they didn't show that, so it was like slightly discouraging because everyone's like, don't worry, Ricky, you'll get that last 10-15%. And I'm like, yeah, if I was working for Jose Fernandez. But no, that was a definitely amazing experience. One I enjoyed was Monica and I would always sit in the hotel room in our
Room
house
service.
coats. House coats, I don't know.
They're called bathrooms, Ricky.
House coats.
For me, my favorite thing about the show was probably the Blizzard stuff, or besides the room service, was going to Blizzard and getting to do my interview with them. Because as much as I like to believe that I got the job on my own abilities, I think the fact that they flew me out there, because the show flew me out for the interview and kind of arranged the whole setup, I think that really sealed the deal for me. And so getting to go there and, you know, getting to do the internship, and I'm actually coming back next week to do another one, is just like, it's insane, and I can't believe that this is happening in my life, that I get to make cool things.
Getting the BlizzCon tickets, right?
Yeah, BlizzCon tickets.
Good.
It's happening. That's all I care about.
Good job.
Thanks.
Hobby.
I don't know.
So the Gil of the viral video.
That wasn't through the show.
Oh.
That was before the show even was filmed.
Dang.
Believe
See,
it
I
or
didn't
not.
even know that.
Yeah, the Guillermo del Toro thing was something that we did way before the show was filmed, and they used the footage that had already been filmed. Believe it or not. So we did that. Yeah, it was really awesome though. We did get to work with Guillermo del Toro on making a kaiju for Pacific Rim for a viral video, but it was worked into the show because we wanted it to. We were like, look, this is super cool. Like, it should be in the show. People will be fascinated to see it. We did this job a while ago, but like, we want people to see it because it's awesome and it has context. And thankfully, like, they agreed to it and they threw it in there. But it was really cool. But other than that, no, the show did not give me anything cool like that, you guys.
I mean, not to sound
Our
like...
friendship
Yeah,
is the best.
that's
And making cool stuff. I mean, and getting little kids to learn about cosplay. And I mean, for me, it was an awesome, positive experience. It was just long hours.
I mean, like she said, for me, I mean, the Jose thing was great, but I got to know Monica more. I'd not known Holly or Jessica.
I literally didn't know like any of you guys, like
Yeah.
at all. They were like, Holly is friends with all the. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. I've never met them. And then like we finally met, but through the whole show, they're like, they're all friends, and I'm like, well, I mean, now we are.
Yeah, we all kind of commiserate together
well,
sometimes.
you guys have yours? What was your favorite little...
We got to.
I don't know.
It's a trick.
We got to go trapezing with the man who trained Nightwing.
But they
in
cut it
comic
out,
books.
so it's super
Yeah, when they were developing one of the storylines for Nightwing in DC Comics, he's a superhero in comic books for all you fake geek boys out there.
That's a thing.
The writers of Nightwing actually went out there to the Gaona trapeze studio, and they had them sort of show them how the trapezing is done, and they liked it so much that they worked Alex Gaona into the comic book.
Who is the son of Richie Gaona who runs it?
Yeah, so he's actually now a comic book character who actually trains Nightwing. So we got to go out to their studio and we got to trapeze with Alex Gaona, the dude who trained Nightwing, and that was pretty awesome.
And the only reason that's like so awesome is because Nightwing is my personal favorite character. I'm a big DC person. Dick Grayson is my OTP for life. And so when I discovered that not only was there a trapeze studio that had that relation to something that was so important to me, but they were actually in Los Angeles, actually very near where we live, and then the show made that happen, like something I didn't think would ever happen, which was like really, really incredible. Oh, we got like engaged and stuff too, but I mean.
They rode in the mechanical bull also.
Oh, yeah.
Man, there's this one scene, I have to out Jesse. There's this one scene, unfortunately, Monica and I couldn't go to the mechanical bull thing because
Monica was underage and Vicky ditched us.
And I was her chaperone.
Oh, by the way, Monica is not 12.
Yeah.
I know
Yes, she
this
is.
whole scene.
You sometimes act
Don't you destroy the solution for me.
Well, it was funny because that night they wanted us to have like a scene at a club, and I was like, I'm tired, I want to sleep and finish my costume. Like, no, you have to go. So we get there, they're like, oh, it's 21 and up, and I'm like, oh man, I have to miss it. Sorry guys. And I had to like act like I was so bummed out, and I was like, get the hell out of here.
They came back with this story of Jesse getting on the bull, and as he gets on the bull, the crotch of his pants blow out, and so he rides the bull with his hat over his crotch. And I was like, please put this, because you would hear about these things, and you're like, I hope they put that in the show, and then they just
never do.
They just did.
Oh, we Jello wrestled as Picard and Riker, and it did not go in the show.
I'm a witness to that.
We had a party, yeah, we had a party, and because Chloe made a bet with us that if we like didn't win something as a joke, we were like, if we didn't win something at this competition, we're gonna Jello wrestle as Picard and Riker. And they were like, that's great, and we had done that on our own. No one had produced us. We were just like, that'd be hilarious. We need stakes to like do this, and we don't care about winning really at all. So let's like Jello wrestle, and so we did it. Like we wore costumes. We like you saw us for like a brief second because they had to keep it in because that was a plot point. But then after that, we Jello wrestled as Picard and Riker, and it was amazing.
And
I
Chloe
was
Jello
like,
wrestled as a giant tribble.
yeah, she was a giant tribble, and I was like, get out of my chair. I never believed in Wesley, and it was like amazing. And they cut all that out, and I was like, that was the funniest
That would be
thing.
the frustrating part. You'd be like, I'm giving you comedy gold.
Yeah.
And then you'd watch your show and you were like, really?
And they were like,
That's
oh,
what they went
you
with?
you replaced that with 20 minutes of me going, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. I'm
Or
nervous.
like family motto, family motto, family motto.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Well, me and Ricky had a lot of funny banter. We thought we were freaking hilarious, and we're like, man, they're gonna love this. None of that was in there. Turns out we're not as hilarious as we think we are.
I was in the pilot and everything, and there's the only reason that I kind of don't hate Heroes of Cosplay Police because they introduced me to all of these people. I've
literally
never
only know her because the very
because
first
of Heroes of
production
Cosplay.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. So we'll get into the quick history of it. So, you know, the show is less than a year old. Okay, this show for some of the people on the table is about 4 years old. You know, it started off as a production company approached Yaya. They're like, hey, we hear about this cosplay thing. You know, we'd like to, you know, document it and see if we can do something with it. And, you know, Yaya was, you know, she's a pioneer in the world of cosplay.
Superstar.
Yeah, she's a superstar. So
She's like
she started
RuPaul.
doing it, and they filmed some stuff, and they're like, okay, we need some more interactions. So they asked Ricky if, because Ricky was doing the charity calendar with, and Yaya was a participant in that, so they were working on some stuff together. And they were like, well, yeah, and then I guess you were next, or Monica was next.
Kind of like all the same time, because there was, I have memories of basically, it was like 4 years ago, WonderCon, where it was just these two production guys and Yaya, and they happened to be, you know, Yaya was doing a cosplay with another friend of ours, so they were filming in our hotel room, and then a year later, we're at DragonCon, and suddenly it's like, oh, hey, like, you know, Yaya wanted to recommend you guys for being on this. Do you want to do it? I was like, why the hell not? Like, we're all friends. It sounded like the original concept for the show was something we were all passionately behind.
So man, kind of in a gray area here, but
No,
sure.
give the original.
Well, and-
All right. So
You wanna know what originally-
it was called Yaya's World.
Was it really?
Then after it was Yaya's World. Hold on. Then after it was Yaya's World, it was called. Come on, that's the part you were in. Divas of Dress Up. Which means everybody just like.
We're not kidding. We're not kidding either.
What's it? It gets better.
Okay, so then the next iteration was called Cosworld, which we learned was a porn. So the checks to this, some of the checks will actually say Cosworld. So then we basically followed. We're like, dude, that's a porn. And they're like, really? Oh, so they scrambled and then they came up with Heroes of Cosplay. All right, Heroes of Cosplay. That is like saying Keith Richards is a guitar hero. Everybody knows Keith Richards is not a hero, all right? But he is a guitar hero. So the implication was that it's gender neutral and that it basically says, you know, they're really trying to do something in this world and push the community forward, all right? So that's where the title comes from. It's not dissing 501st or costumers that visit children in hospital. That's not what the title's implying.
It's just a catchy title, and that was it. That's all I ever
But we
understood
did
that.
point out that abbreviated, it's so we're like, that's like a cat throwing up.
So.
Like a cat.
So for some people, it's been a 4-year journey. For for Jesse, they plucked him out of a line in Portland, and we got on because one time he just made a comment like, "Boy, it's been a long journey to get this show on." And we're like, "Dude, it's been 4 months or 5 months for you."
Yeah, we didn't get on until Chloe suggested us. They had interviewed her, and then they were like, "Do you know any other cosplayers?" And this was way after you guys did the pilot and all that crazy stuff. And Chloe was like, "Yeah, all they just, they're crazy." And so they were like, "Okay."
Watch them on TV.
Yeah. So in the the Divas address.
Yeah, but
sizzle.
Jessica was in the Divas dress
Jessica
up.
was in the Divas dress
You were
up.
still involved with that.
And it's
Yeah, I think that's when I was kind of like, this is not something for me. I want to be, like, I didn't want to put myself into that. I was really busy at the time,
They
so.
couldn't afford her.
If you don't know, she's kind of a big deal.
No, don't you say that.
But and every time it's like a different production company too. So you're teaching these people who are like, well, why are the elevators taking so long? You're like, because there's a con going on. Like,
Because it's Dragon Con.
yeah, we're like, why is it taking 15, like you're in costume, why is it taking you so long to get from one end to the other? Because people want to stop and take your photo and you don't want to be rude.
Now, what are you wearing again? What is this person from?
Oh, well, never mind. It's a
Can
little
you
bit.
whisper it to me and then I'll read
No. Let's just say, okay, so when they do the turnaround shots, it's on a green screen, right? Well, there's an instant where a couple of us were green or had green parts, and they had to try to figure that whole situation out. They're like, okay, we need to put them on a blue screen. So then they're scrambling because they have a certain schedule, and they're like, uh-oh, like we're gonna need like an hour and a half to change all the green screen to blue screen, and then change it back to green screen. So I honestly, I was watching this and I was like, I just want to watch a show about this show being made.
Yeah. Like, you want to see people being nervous? Man. You don't know nervous until the production company's like an hour late on shooting. Then you can watch real good nervous.
Yeah, I mean, like I had, the production would leave like trash at my house, and I was like, can you like pick up after yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we're sloppy. So that's the biggest lie of our part of the show is our place is never that clean.
Yeah,
That is the big, like, we laugh when we see it. They pan and you're like, that's.
So we have time for a couple.
Yeah, do you want to do some more crowd? We can do some quick questions, maybe specifically directed at people or whatever. It's up to you. Go, Hat. Sorry, and then you. Okay.
What are your guys' first costumes that you've either created or cosplayed as?
Double Hunter Yoko.
I did Tamari from Naruto because I was a Narutard.
Mine was a crossplay version of half my Renaissance Fair costume and the female version of Valen Shadowbreath from Neverwinter Nights. What?
That's mouthful.
I was special.
It was Merle from Escaflowne.
Oh my god!
Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
And Chris?
I'm not a cosplayer. I'm a costumer.
I thought you had like one.
Halloween does not count.
Wait, you dressed as something in does a school count? Yes, school doesn't count.
I had my grandmother embroidered me a Spider-Man mask. That was my favorite.
That's cute. The very first costume I ever made was actually the Cat in the Hat when I was 10.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a little hat. Freaking rad.
Kid costumes?
What?
We counting
No.
like that?
Yeah, well, more sexy Pikachu.
I taped a pillow to my back and said I was a Koopa.
Yeah, I was a fan of the arm.
I was Anakin Skywalker as a pod racer, but I had a lightsaber. I was conflicted.
Does anybody remember those masks? Only the older, the Halloween mask with a little slit in the tongue. I was a walking My Little Pony advertisement because it's like a poncho with My Little Pony and the little. So that's technically the first costume I remember. Or my parents when I was like 4 dressed me as Dolly Parton. Super awkward looking at those photos.
Okay. Yes. Next question, lady. Yes, and or sit.
How many conventions do you guys attend on average per year?
10 to 20?
A year? Yeah, a year. 20 to 30.
20, 30 conventions?
Too many conventions.
Give or take 4?
Like, I mean, back when I was in high school, college, which is weird, you're thinking, you know, you're a student, you have like no money and no time or whatever, but like I went to way more conventions then, but now like out of college and stuff, it's what I can afford, so, you know, there's obligatory San Diego Comic-Con and Dragon Con for us, and then also WonderCon, and then maybe throw in one other con, and that's, you know, that's what we aim for each year, maybe it's a few more.
Yep, okay, got it, yes sir.
If you were directing and editing and producing the show yourself, what would it be about? What would it be like?
Me watching Netflix.
It would never get done.
Yeah, I don't want that responsibility because I wouldn't want to deal with like the higher ups.
Yeah.
I don't want that
But
responsibility.
also, you build a relationship with these people because they're working like hand in hand with you, and then you know they're like, oh, you know, like oh, it's going to be a little drama-esque, and they're like you kind of become friends with them, and then they kind of have to be the bad guys sometimes too.
Their jobs are incredibly hard.
Yeah, the season 1 production
I could
team that we
not be a
worked with.
producer. I could not have that job.
The season 1 production team we had was very, like, a lot of them were geeks. They go to Comic-Con or they gamer and stuff, and they were really, really nice. And they're, you know, again, there's different, you know, levels, different bosses, and so while they had their own hopes and ambitions, what they wanted to show and the way they were filming us, you know, it was out of their hands when it went higher up, when it goes to SyFy executives, you know, because those decisions are out of their hands, and it's just something you have to roll with, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think for, I think I would like to see just, and I know everybody wants to see process, but it's really difficult when you're trying to explain to the producers, where you said, you know, cure time, or like Holly does like a cooking show. We would actually have to really like sit down with them and say like, okay, here's the costumes we plan on doing, and this is like, we're gonna have to sit down with you and break it all down so that you can get the most dynamic and interesting parts, and then maybe have a little guide on screen that would explain what's going on to the viewer, almost the way Face Off does.
Or pop-up video.
Yeah, you know, so you guys can understand like what's going on, because yeah, there are hundreds of people that don't know what's going on the screen. They just see a liquid poured into a box, and then you open it up and there's a widget, you know, and it's like, so that would be the nice side, is if they could break it down a little bit more into what's actually going on screen.
I would like to see like not to like begrudge my castmates, but actually like less people, so then you could really like grow. No, like you have the same amount of people, but like people just get more time, and you get. For me, I would like to know more about them. That's what I like. You know, like what is their passion outside of cosplay? Like that's the stuff I find interesting.
If I were editing and directing it, it would be more focused on me, and my friends would be secret agents, and we would fight crime.
I have to say this real quick. One of my favorite parts of the show was Jinyo would always say lines, but he would drop products so that they couldn't use the line because you don't have the license for it. So he'd be like, "Hey Victoria, let's look up costumes on my Microsoft Surface Pro," and then like point to it, and then like a video guy's just like
advertised the bejesus out of that thing, which is funny because there was a period like last season, like every single show was using like that version of Windows or had that tablet. Yeah. Every show, it was so weird because you'd have a detective coming up to a cop to show him the home screen of his Microsoft Surface Pro, which no one has their stuff on their home screen. You know, they flipped over to the other one, but I think they should have advertised you.
I think one of the other things that drives me nuts is like, I want to see the inside of Holly's house, non-blurred. You know, so they'll come and they'll be like, hey, can you turn your geek stuff around and not, you know, like, that's half the fun of going into people's houses is seeing all their crap. So it's like, you know.
Some of our houses were a nightmare because it was like, where can we film where we're not going to be like infringing on trademark? And it's like not even the bathroom. You can't even go to the bathroom. Sorry.
Yeah, my bathroom's portal.
I mean,
sorry,
and
guys.
also like clothing, you know.
Logos.
We had to like, you couldn't.
No more video game shirts.
Sorry, yeah, you couldn't wear video game shirts. You couldn't. I have an obsession with hoodies and turtlenecks. And also, if you notice in my place, I'm always like super bundled up because when they would come and film, it was super cold. And I would turn off the heat because production was constantly walking in and out. But they're like, can you show like, you know, can you not wear a hoodie because it's really hard to hear you on the microphone?
And we want to see your breasts.
I don't know about that. But, you know, so I'm always working. It's always cold in my house, so.
Which is why Jinyo had made his own shirts for season 2, but then we didn't end up being on it. But we thought we were going to be so smart this time to have our own shirts made.
I've got so many shirts.
All right, I think we have time for one more question. So if I choose you, you better make it good.
Oh my
We're all
God,
gonna be super
we've got
disappointed.
like 5 people.
Una más. All right, one more. All right, the little one.
The little one.
Yes.
Favorite character ever cosplay? Sorry.
No. Toss up. Rocketeer, obviously. I love Rocketeer. And Snow White.
I don't like answering this question because I
You have
say
to.
it's like
She asked.
choosing your favorite child.
It is.
So
who's
it's like,
your favorite child?
who is your favorite kid? I'm not gonna respond to it.
I'm gonna pick for Monica.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can pick.
Little sister.
Oh, thanks. There you go.
Mine's Commander Shepard.
Mine's probably Ahsoka Tano.
Mine is Lone Wolf and Cub.
I like your Puss in Boots.
Yeah, Puss in Boots.
I like your
Theirs
Grievous.
is Puss in Boots or General Grievous.
My favorite is Jinyo wearing the silhouette of a TV screen with the Heroes of Cosplay logo.
My idea, by the way, I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, that was my favorite costume.
I get one good one.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for stopping by. Season 2. Oh, we have another one at 2? 3 tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, we have another panel tomorrow at 3 if you guys want to come back. If you didn't get your questions answered. When does season 2 of Heroes of Cosplay come out?
May 27th.
May 27th. So tune in. It's great. Cosplay, love each other.